Michael Pettersson, Labor MLA, has got an idea. He's got this proposal for renters in the ACT to be able to ask their landlords for references. I wonder what you think. I wonder if you think this could work in reverse. Good morning, Michael Pettersson.
Good morning.
Why do you want to make this change?
I think it's an important change to make because I think most listeners will have experienced the rental market at some point in their lives. They've, as you've said, had to give over their employment history, income, rental history, personal references, and they can understand why. When landlords are choosing someone to live in their property, that's a big and consequential decision. But similarly, the decision as to which house you move in is just as important. And landlords have a tremendous impact on someone's life. They control the maintenance and upgrades of the property you live in. Sometimes landlords make illegal property visits, unreasonable requests. Sometimes they ask for illegal things like illegal rent increases. And at the moment, there's no way for a prospective tenant to know if any of these behaviours are likely to occur. And hopefully, they'll improve the local rental market if people do know about these behaviours and can act before they occur.
The market is so strong at the moment and the demand is so high. Do you think tenants have a leg to stand on? Like, can they demand that of a landlord?
No, this idea isn't originally my idea. This idea originates from an Australian comedian called Tom Cashman, who about a month ago, tongue-in-cheek, actually asked his prospective landlord for a reference. And of course, his application was then denied, but it spawned the idea and it's been talked about right across Australia. I think there's a real power imbalance that exists right now in the Canberra rental market. When you've got vacancy rates that are so tight, it's hard for tenants to feel any sense of power. I think an idea like this gives them some power, gives them the ability to actually put on the record what occurred to them. And this landlord can have to consider, I need to make sure that I treat these tenants properly, even though the market is tight, because they can say what occurred to them.
And do you think I can picture it working in the situation where if you go to a house and there's a big long list of people, does the landlord, a bit like a building inspection report, would the landlord have to offer this sort of references, this referee report, to all the prospective tenants?
Well, there's two ways that I foresee it occurring. There's the traditional reference model that most people think of, where they get a personal reference written up by a former colleague or a boss. But I think the more powerful system is what is actually in place right now for tenants. Landlords, through their real estate agents, right now have residential tenancy databases. These are commercially owned databases that collect information on tenants, and they're distributed freely amongst real estate agents and landlords. I foresee a system similar to that, but for tenants to provide information about landlords having a powerful effect on the rental market.
Okay, yeah. A bit like, is it a bit like a ratings website, a little bit like TripAdvisor?
No, you need to be very careful about privacy when it comes to these matters. I don't think having a publicly listed website is a sensible idea. Allowing people to access appropriate information in a controlled way is, I think, a very good thing.
I wonder, you're a renter yourself, Michael Pettersson. What would you want to know about your landlord?
Well, I'm very fortunate. I think a lot of Canberrans are. My landlord is great. They follow the law. They've always treated me with respect. They're always very prompt when it comes to maintenance and repairs. And I would love to tell the next tenant that. I don't think every reference in Canberra is going to be bad. I think from what I've seen and from the stories I've heard, most references are actually going to be really good. Canberra landlords, for the most part, are really good and respectful landlords. But I have also heard some of the horror stories I think most Canberrans have heard.
Yeah, what do you think? Good idea. What would you write for your current landlord or a landlord in the past? What sort of reference would you write? I'd love to hear from you. If you've had great landlords, would you put together a great rap for them? If you've had slightly dodgy ones, perhaps they didn't fix the heating all winter, perhaps, you want to know their income, how much they're making from their property portfolio. Do you think you could ask that, Michael Pettersson?
I think that's probably a bit far. The residential tenancies database only allows things to be listed if they're considered a serious breach. So I don't think that information is pertinent to whether someone chooses to rent a property. But it's an interesting question. How much money is a landlord making off the property? I think sometimes people might be surprised, and that information would be very enlightening. But I don't think it's central to the request here.
And I wonder if you're a landlord listening this morning, are you the sort of landlord that you think would get a glowing reference as well? It's a really interesting discussion. Michael Pettersson, how likely do you think it is to get through?
I'm quietly confident. The motion I'm putting forward today calls for the government to investigate how we can implement this, and they'll report back before the end of the year. I'm confident that the government will be able to find a way to implement a rental reference system of some sort. What that looks like right now, it's a bit early to say.
Yeah, on the text line, people are saying, Lish, it's not just landlords, but agents still waiting for service since the Belconnen storm. Like, where do agents play into this?
It's a good question. I don't have any philosophical opposition to including real estate agents. It's not the primary purpose of what I put forward today, but I think including them in whatever form is appropriate would be a good thing as well.